Born into slavery, George Washington Carver transcended the shackles of his past to become a pioneering agricultural chemist, an educator, and inventor. His groundbreaking work with peanuts, sweet potatoes, and soybeans transformed the agricultural landscape of the South, leaving an indelible mark on generations to come. In 1941, he accepted the first Institute of Food Technologists Humanitarian Award for his lifetime dedication to advancing the science of food.
I am not sure that I am worthy of this splendid citation, but I wish to say also that I thank you from the depths of my heart.
He was an extremely private man, perhaps even shy. Although he could have danced in the light of his many personal and scientific successes, he avoided publicity and refused any request to appear in any movie, including those that would show him at work. The silent film you're now seeing is a major concession that Dr. Carver made to his friend and closest assistant, Dr. Austin Curtis. In November 1941, less than 2 years before Dr. Carver would die, Curtis convinced him to let Dr. Cornelius Alexander, an African-American surgeon, to come to Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, where Carver was teaching, and to shoot a film of his daily life, the daily life of this renowned inventor and botanist. Color movie film for amateurs was really only a few years old, but luckily, Alexander had come prepared. George Washington Carver was born into slavery in 1864 in southwest Missouri. It was on a farm owned by a white man, Moses Carver. George's father, you see, had died before he was born, and he had lost his mother and sister when they were kidnapped from the Carver farm. Susan Carver, wife of Moses, realized that George was just too frail for outdoor work and instead began teaching him cooking, gardening, and herbal medicines. He became fascinated with plants. He left the Carver farm when he was just 11 to briefly study at an all-black school, and then moved on to other foster homes. After graduating from high school, he was accepted as the very first black student at Iowa State Agricultural College in Ames, Iowa. There, he earned his bachelor's and master's degree in science. In 1896, he became head of the agricultural department at Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. He was teaching and experimenting there for over 47 years. While often remembered as the man who developed over 300 uses for peanuts, Carver was a brilliant agricultural scientist who made significant contributions to the world. He developed soil improvement techniques that improved crop yields, even developed synthetic rubber from his soybean experiments, and he explored natural remedies and herbal treatments, emphasizing the healing properties of plants. In 1939, he agreed to a radio interview on the program that was called Strange as It Seems. This is where he briefly talked about his work. It was one of the few times his voice was recorded, and I thank the Children's Media Archive website for bringing it to my attention.
And strange as it seems, today all the world knows that George Washington Carver's experiments with the peanut have been of enormous value to Southern agriculture. Dr. Carver is right here in the studio with me, and we'll let him tell his own story. Dr. Carver.
Thank you, Mr. Habrilla. And it's quite an experience to sit back and have your life story acted out for you.
Oh, but it's a life story with a lot more chapters yet to be written, Dr. Carver.
I certainly hope so, Mr. Habrilla. But I'm not as young as I once was. I was somewhere in the 70s on my last birthday.
Dr. Carver, I understand you've raised the peanut to new heights.
Well, the peanut industry is a $60 million business now. At Tuskegee, we've developed more than 200 products from peanuts. We've made everything from axle grease to synthetic rubber, and we're finding out new uses for the peanut constantly.
What are you working on now, Dr. Carver?
The finest use we've been able to make of peanuts is in the treatment of the after effects of infantile paralysis. That's what I'm working on now. Massages with peanut oils has worked miracles in some cases. There is a lot of work to be done, but I feel we're on the trail of something really important. When I was in college at Ames, Iowa, I had charge of a football squad and a running squad. I was the professional rubber in those days. We called them rubbers. We call them masseurs now because it's more dignified and sounds better. But we call them rubbers.
Dr. Carver, do you consider yourself a chemist?
I should say with reference to that we have to be very careful lest the ego comes in. A person that can bake a reasonably good cake or a reasonably good pan of biscuit can't go out and put up a shingle and say that they are good cooks. A laboratory is simply a place where we tear things to pieces. Sometimes we can get them together again if we want to put them together, and sometimes we can't. But nevertheless, we can pull things to pieces and get the truth that we are searching for.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carver. You have just heard Dr. George Washington Carver, one of America's leading agriculture scientists, a man who has devoted his life to help give the agricultural South a new outlook on life.
George Washington Carver passed away January 5th, 1943. His impact on science, agriculture, and racial harmony remains immeasurable. His legacy extends beyond those inventions and awards. He inspired generations, and he still does. Thanks for watching. Hey, we'll see you real soon with something brand new. Now don't forget to subscribe and maybe give us a thumbs up. Have a great day and an even better tomorrow.